and Parasitology Hub. Welcome you to my YouTube channel. And before I continue, don't forget to subscribe and like this video. Don't forget to subscribe and like this video. Now, I'll be teaching medical parasitology today. Basically, hookworm parasites. And the hookworm parasites I'll be talking about are under nematode parasites. So now, don't forget before I continue, don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel. Now, I've formally explained nematode parasites in the other video and I've listed out their names. But now I'll just go straight to hookworm parasites. So I'll be looking at the hookworm parasite. Let us classify the classification of this hookworm. Let us classify it. Hookworm fall under phylum Nematoda. Phylum Nematoda. And it's also under the class of Phasmidia. Then the other is Strongylata. Then the family is the Encylostomidia. Then the genus, we have the Necato. And we also have the Encylostoma. Then the species, we now have the Necato americanus, and we also have the Encylostoma duodenale. So now these are the classifications of hookworm parasites. They fall under phylum Nematoda, class Phasmidia, order Strongylata, family Encylostomidia, genus Necato and Encylostoma, species the Necato americanus and the Encylostoma duodenale. Now, don't forget that the genus and this that what makes up the species is the family and the genus and the species. Now, here where we have the Necato and the Encylostoma, then the species are the americanus and the duodenale. So you now call it together. So these are the classifications of hookworm parasites. Now there are two groups of hookworm. We have the human hookworm. And we have the animal hookworm. Now, the human hookworm are called the anthropophili. And the animal hookworm are called the zoophili. So anthropophili are the hookworm that affect human beings. They affect only human beings. While zoophili are those hookworms that affect other animals. Now, examples of anthropophili are the Necato americanus, and the Encylostoma duodenale, Now, Examples of the zoophily, we have the Ancylostoma, Ancylostoma selanicum, Selanicum, and we have the Ancylostoma caninum. So the anthropophily, which are the hookworm that affect human beings, they include the Necato americanus and the Ancylostoma duodenale. While zoophily, which are those hookworm that affect other animals, the examples of it are the Ancylostoma selanicum and the Ancylostoma caninum. Now, hookworm are responsible for hookworm diseases or infection. So they are responsible for hookworm diseases or infection. Hookworm diseases can also be known as the encylostomiasis. The encylostomiasis. So that's another name for hookworm disease. Now, the adult male hookworm is between 8 to 11 millimeter. This is showing you how small these parasites can be. Then the adult female ancylostoma, or the adult female hookworm, is between 10 to 13 millimeters. 10 to 13 millimeter. Now, so I initially said that the size of the male ancylostoma is between 8 to 11 millimeter, while the size of the adult female ancylostoma is 10 to 13 millimeter. Now, the female ancylostoma are oviparous. When I mean oviparous, that is, they can lay eggs. Now, the eggs of this ancylostoma are 60 microns. So the size of the eggs of ancylostoma are 60 microns. And their eggs are usually segmented. And ancylostoma are found in the small intestine. Now, let us look at the life cycle of hookworms. Because you cannot actually study a parasite without knowing the life cycle. We have to study the life cycle of that particular parasite. So let's look at the life cycle of hookworms. Now, I will be relating this to our social life. Now, the life cycle of hookworms begins with the embryonation of eggs in the soil. Embryonation is the molting of eggs from the first instar larva to the second instar larva. That's the molting of eggs from LO1 stage to LO2 stage, or from LO2 stage to LO3 stage, and so on. Then the eggs of the hookworm embryonate in the soil. Then after it hatch and develop into the rhabdity form. Or the LO1 stage. So after embryonation occurs, it then hatch and develop into the rhabdity form, which is the LO1 stage. Then when it hatch into the rhabdity form, the larva is is the product of the egg. So after the egg of a parasite finish hatching, it gives rise to the larva. So the larva will then molt twice, into the filary form, and the filary form is the infective stage, which is the elytra stage. That's the third instar larva. So after embryonation occurs, it hatch and develop into the rhabdity form. Then when it hatch and develop into the rhabdity form, the larva will now molt twice into the infective stage. That is the elytra larva. So in the exam, they can ask you, what is the infective stage of hookworm parasite? It is the elytra stage, or the elytra larva, or the third instar larva. So since this is the infective stage, then it will now penetrate into the human host through the skin. It will then penetrate into the human host through the skin. Then when it now enters into the human host, it will now join circulation. It will now circulate with the blood. Then when it circulates with the blood, it migrates to the liver. And from the liver, it goes down to the heart. And from the heart, it goes to the lungs. And from the lungs, it goes to the trachea. And from the trachea, it is now swallowed back into the small intestine. See how the life cycle goes on. So assuming you just went to farm and eggs of hookworm are in the soil and you mistakenly match it. Now, if the eggs have reached the infective stage, which is the elytra larva, it now penetrates into your body. And when it now penetrates into the human host, which is your body, through the skin, then it now moves with your blood. That's it joins circulation. Then migrates from the liver to the heart, to the lungs, to the trachea. And it is now being swallowed back into the small intestine. Now, when the larva is swallowed back into the small intestine, it then grows up to become adult worms in the small intestine. And when they grow up to become adult worms, they lay eggs. And these eggs are passed out in feces or through feces. The eggs are passed out through the feces. So this is how the life cycle undergoes. Now, if you go to the farm, like I said earlier, you match the soil that contains hookworm eggs. Now, if those hookworm's eggs are in their infective stage, which is the filary form, then it will now enter through the human body, through the skin. Then it flows with your blood and migrates from the liver to the heart, to the lungs, to the trachea, to the small intestine. Then when it gets to the small intestine, it will now grow. The larva will now grow to become adult worm. And when it grows to become adult worm, they now lay eggs inside the small intestine. And whenever that host, which is the body, passes out feces, the eggs are being released out again. So this is the life cycle of hookworm disease. Now, let us look at the pathology. When we talk about the pathology, we are studying the diseases. Pathology is actually the study of diseases. So we want to look at the pathology of hookworm. What's pathology of hookworm? What are the diseases? What are the sickness hookworm can cause to the human body? Most importantly, it causes iron deficiency. Iron deficiency. And iron deficiency is called anemia. So it causes iron deficiency, which is anemia. Secondly, it causes ancylostoma dermatitis. It causes ancylostoma dermatitis or ground itching. So hookworm disease can cause ancylostoma dermatitis or ground itching, and also can lead to the deficiency of iron, which is anemia. Hookworm can also cause bronchitis. And bronchitis is the inflammation of the lung tissue. Bronchitis is the inflammation of the lung tissues. So hookworm can actually cause the lung to inflame, which will lead to what we call bronchitis. It can also cause bronchopneumonia. So hookworm can cause bronchopneumonia. And finally, it can cause epigastric pain. When we talk about epigastric is in relation with the stomach. So it can cause stomach pain, diarrhea, and vomiting. So the pathology of hookworm diseases, that's the diseases hookworm causes, are it causes iron deficiency. Which causes anemia, and it causes ancylostoma dermatitis or ground itching. It also causes bronchitis, which is the inflammation of the lung tissues, and it causes bronchopneumonia, and then epigastric pain. And when I talk about epigastric pain, epigastric means it relates to the stomach, so it causes stomach pain, diarrhea, and vomiting. Now, let us look at the symptoms of hookworm disease. The symptoms is that you have lesions on the skin, because if you go back to the life cycle, you see that hookworm gets into the human body through the skin. So it will first of all create a sort of wound on your skin. Lesions on the skin, that's what it's called. And it can cause poor appetite. Hookworm disease can also cause constipation. And it can cause growth retardation. And finally, it can cause swelling of the face and limbs. Now, let us look at how hookworm disease is being diagnosed. Now, we are going to be looking at the diagnosis of hookworm disease. How is this hookworm disease being diagnosed? If a patient with ankylostomiasis, which is hookworm disease, goes to the hospital, how does the medical lab scientist actually diagnose that the feces or that the patient is suffering from ankylostomiasis? Now, it can be diagnosed by wet stool mounted under a microscope. So the patient, the med lab scientist will request for the sheet or the feces of the patient, That's the wet stool, and the feces must be fresh. That's what we mean by wet stool, and it will now then be mounted under a microscope. So they will now, so that they can be able to diagnose that the presence of hookworm eggs in the feces. And another method of diagnosing hookworm is through occult blood test. Occult blood test is another way of diagnosing hookworm disease, but the most precise way of diagnosing hookworm is wet stool. Is when they bring wet stool, they will mount it under a microscope. Now, how can this hookworm disease be treated? There are basically 4 drugs used to cure hookworm disease. We can use mebendazole. We can use albendazole. We can use parental palmate. And you can use iron supplements. So these are the 4 drugs used in treating hookworm disease: the mebendazole, the albendazole, the parental palmate, and the iron supplements. The mebendazole, albendazole, parental palmate, and iron supplement. So these are the 4 drugs that can be used to treat hookworm disease. Now, do you know that ancylostoma sucks 0.2 ml of blood each day? So imagine a patient suffering from ancylostomiasis has virtually, let me just say, 20 hookworms, and each hookworm sucks 0.2 ml every day. So what quantity of blood will the patient actually lose each day? You see, 0.2 times 20. The person will be losing 4 ml of blood every day. So in a week, he'll be losing 28 ml of blood, and very soon the person will fall sick. So that's how bad, you see, hookworm can be. Now, ancylostoma duodenal, ancylostoma duodenal sucks 0.2 ml of blood each one every day, while the Necatio americanus sucks 0.6 ml of blood each day. So how can these hookworm diseases be prevented? It can be prevented by personal protection. Whenever we are walking on a bushy path or in a slippery, or in fact, it's not encouraged to be barefooted or to walk with barefoot and be moving around or moving outside the environment, because eggs of hookworm can be present there. So you wear slippers or you wear rain boots if it is farm, most especially. Another one is through washing of hands after using the toilet. Then there should be public health education for awareness, and government should provide tap water. So these are the preventions and controls on hookworm diseases. So I'll come to the end of this class. Hope you learned something. Now I'll be looking in my next class would be Trichuris trichura, another nematode parasite. But I am done summarizing hookworm disease. So this is a summary of hookworm disease. Thanks for watching, and I hope you understood something. And don't forget to subscribe and like this video. Bye for now. Wait. Wait.